Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, trainer and head coach from Live, Love, Give. And today I'm coming at you from the beautiful snowbird resort in beautiful Utah in the mountains here. And today's message is all about swapping fakeness for realness. And I'm really passionate about this subject. It's been top of my mind for the last few days. And what I really wanted to sort of shift your perspective on today was ultimately I want to ask you, how real can you currently be with the people in your life? And what I've come to discover is that unless we can be totally who we are and speak our truth, and I mean being seriously honest, instead of living in the day-to-day niceties and telling people what we think they want to hear, actually being able to tell them what they need to hear. And a number of things have sort of been triggering these thoughts within me. And currently, yes, I'm in the States, in the beautiful States right now, and one thing that's occurred to me has been just how I thought, in Australia, I always love to notice like the cultural differences, the ways of being, how we're different. And I've always seen Australia and, Australians and Americans have such similarities. But what I've really been noticing, and I'm trying to sort of, find the patterns and sort of work out what's going on, is I'm really seeing what I buy into, or what I believe is to be like higher levels of fakeness in terms of how overly nice everybody is. And it's kind of triggering me in terms of that I don't feel like I can build connection. Oh, I'm back. I think that just cut out with the internet connection here in the mountains. But I hope that you're getting this message. Let me know if you missed a bunch of that. But ultimately, it's gotten me triggered in terms of thinking about how honest are we with the people closest to us? And I mean real, because if we don't have that level of realness, and a friend of mine questioned me this morning about how many people in my life am I totally real with, like who I can just call out in the moment. I can call out what's going on for them without fears of being rejected, abandoned, cut off from, criticized, judged, all of those scary things that we get caught up in. And my honest answer was like literally 2 people in my life that I am so brutally honest with, can call out in any moment and have no problem with it, no charge around it, and totally authentic about it. And that was a real wake-up call for me, because one of my highest values is depth of connection with other people, and I don't believe that you can have true depth of connection if you're not able to be seriously honest about the small stuff, to be able to pull away from just the niceties of life and telling people what they want to hear, rather than be able to tell them what they actually need to hear. Because it's when we can make that shift from telling people what they want to hear to telling people what they need to hear, we ultimately help them shift from a victim mentality into a truly empowered state, or we at least give them the opportunity to create a more empowering state for themselves and grow as an individual. And that is what we are here to do in our relationships. My belief around relationships is that they need to be a place where we can both support and challenge each other to be our best selves. And that takes a level of honesty like we're probably not experiencing in other relationships in our life. When somebody asks us, how are we today? What's going on for us? When really they're asking from a place of just being nice. They're not really expecting you to be totally honest with them. And you're just expected to say, yeah, fine, good, thanks, how are you? Like it's just such a waste of energy. And I've kind of getting charged up and passionate about this, because I'm sick of hearing people say one thing and then behave another way. And it's just so false. And I've gotten so attuned to desiring like true depth and authenticity, because I feel like that is what we are all here to experience. That is what we are most motivated by. It's what we're most inspired by. And so I want to be as authentic as I can be, and I want those that I build relationship with to be truly authentic and able to call me out on whatever is going on, what they're seeing, what my blind spot is, and not to react react and feel like they're trying to bring me down, but ultimately see that that is the greatest sense of love, is to be able to call another out from a place of love and a place of service, because you see a higher version of them that they are currently missing. And sometimes that is the beauty that we can offer another person, is to shine light on those blind spots for them so that they have a new opportunity to grow and evolve and become higher versions of themselves. So yeah, that's what I wanted to bring the message to you guys today, to swap this fakeness for, you know, for truthfulness, for honesty, you know, and for realness. And another little thing that popped up, a friend of mine's reading the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F-U-C-K. And it's a book that once he's finished, I'm going to definitely read, because he's coming to me with such gold. And one of the things he brought to me today was that in this book, I think it's by, is it Mark Manson? What's Mark Manson? Yeah, okay, so Mark Manson wrote this book, and you know, one of the things he speaks into is a trip that he took to Russia. And you know, he was awoken to the kind of culture that they have, which is just brutal honesty, you know, like straight up exactly how they feel. There's no niceties, it's truthfulness. And that's what they truly value. Is that is the greatest value, is, you know, being trustworthy, valuing truth. And when we get stuck up in the niceties, even if it's best intentioned, you know, even if we're trying to, you know, create connection, ultimately all that does is separate connection. It wastes your time, it wastes my time, and it pulls us further and further away from the depth that we're truly able to experience should we have the courage to step up and come from a place of love and service with truth and authenticity. So I really hope that this is resonating with you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, experiences. I'd love to hear from you, so drop them in the comments. And as always, wanting to check in with you guys. So I've got Tim and Lisa, awesome to have you guys, and Stephen and Jeremy and Elf, so awesome to have you, and Maggie and Sergio and Arthur and Anantha. Yes, it's been a long time since you've joined me live, Anantha. I'm so grateful to have you back. And Ridwan and Jeremy and Aliona and Akposino. Oh my God, I just butchered your name. I'm sorry about that, but I'm grateful to have you here. And Hassani, always love having you here. And Jeremy, yes, it is such a beautiful view if I get out of the way. It's awesome out here. Just the picture is not doing it justice. And Leroy, awesome to have you, and Ed. I appreciate your kind words so much there, Arthur. Thank you so much. Grateful this is resonating with you, Leroy, and Leo, and Nadia, and Rian, awesome to have you. Ras, I'm so grateful that this is resonating with you. Yes, Lisa, such a beautiful place here. Wes, yes, honesty is the best policy. Yes, definitely true, Wes. And, you know, honesty takes such a level of courage. Like, it's unbelievable the amount of courage that we need in order to be truthful. And what I was speaking about this morning in conversations around this topic were ultimately that, you know, the reason why we stay stuck in our niceties and we don't say the very thing that is truthfully on our mind is because we're ultimately, on the deepest level, we're fearing abandonment. We're fearing loss of love, loss of connection, and we only fear that stuff when we are not being authentically ourselves. So if we know that, and if we know that by just tapping into the niceties and just going along with the flow, not wanting to rock the boat and being fearful of loss of connection, that is being totally inauthentic, then ultimately by being inauthentic, we are attracting our deepest fear of abandonment, lack of connection, because we're not able to go deep. Without honesty, we can't go to the depths. So your ticket out of this mindless cycle of, you know, staying stuck in this just like surface level connection is to be authentic and have the courage to step forth with the truth. And it is only from that place that we are unshakable, that we no longer identify with the reactions that other people bring to us based on that truth that we've brought to them. And in fact, we step up with such strength like we've never tapped into in our lives, and that gives us the strength to be the leader in our relationships, be the leader of truth and love and depth of connection, so that if somebody does react in a negative way toward us based on that truth, we don't identify with it, we see it for what it is, we have compassion for where that person is at in their life, and ultimately that is the place where we can help and serve them. And it's not when we stay stuck and small in our own childish fears. So I love that. Thanks, Wes. And Jeremy, tell them all. I love it. And you're dead on the money. I love it, Leroy. So grateful this is resonating. And Kimberly, awesome to have you. And Joanne and Joyce and Avaris. Yes, love defeats everything, most certainly. And even when we stay stuck in those niceties and we have best intentions, but we're not being truthful, that's still fear. You know, and you're trying to fight fear with fear, and all that does is serve to magnify it and pull you away from the very thing that you're really here to do, which is, you know, experience depth of connection and real love, you know, not fear and surface level connection. So I love that. And Alok, nice to have you. Yes, definitely. And Jeremy, resume, I'm not sure. And Feria, nice to have you. And Stephen, how are you getting by where everybody else uses the metric system and we don't? Yeah, I know, it's weird. It's really weird. Like, I just don't even know what the measurements really are here. And like, I don't know what temperature it is. I don't know anything, but I'm getting by just fine. Sergio, nice to have you. And Anantha, we need to be real and truthful, honest with people close to us, but at the same time, we need to try explaining and prove our honesty to keep the relationship going. Yeah, so it's not about being just truthful one time in your life. It's about actually remaining consistent in your ability to be truthful in your relationships. Otherwise, nobody can build trust with you. Trust is built in consistent actions of courage. So I definitely resonate with what you're saying there, Anantha. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Leroy, I love it. And Wayne, has to be the feeling of being vulnerable when truly speaking our truth. Yes, so definitely. But remember, what I always talk into is that vulnerability in its purest sense is actually your greatest strength. And so many people misidentify vulnerability as a weakness because they term vulnerability as, you know, this really weak place where we're just kind of operating in this needy energy. But real vulnerability, like real coming from a place of strength, is you owning and doing the work on yourself and being able to own yourself so well that you no longer fear the judgments, rejections, opinions in the outside world, because your inner world is too strong. You're too validating of yourself to get caught up in that mediocrity. And ultimately, that is one of the greatest gifts you can not only give yourself, but every other human being. There is so much power in true vulnerability coming from a place of authenticity and strength. And that is the place that you need to get to in order to be consistent in your ability to be truthful in your communication and relationships. So love that, Wayne. Thank you so much. And Lisa, the more you practice complete honesty, you attract the same like-minded people and you can uplift and trust each other. So true. Like attracts like. And once you start tapping into real authenticity and real truth and real vulnerability, you kind of see the fakeness like even more, like it's even more obvious to you, and therefore you don't really gravitate towards building that depth. You can be the leader for that person, and hopefully they come and meet you in that place and you stay strong in your consistent truth, but ultimately you're able to recognize people who are being really absolutely truthful with you, and it's so attractive, and it's something, you know, to aspire to create more of in your life and continue that journey. I don't think it ever stops. I think there is always the next layer of truth, vulnerability, honesty, and depth, and that's never going to change till the day we die. So we might as well use this time to get deeper and deeper and deeper into that and start peeling back all of those layers that each and every one of us has, and definitely reach back to those who have a few more layers than us and inspire them to step more fully into their truth. It's such a great gift to give to others and to yourself. And Humayan, nice to have you. And Salim, awesome to have you. Elf, 2:45 a.m. in Perth, and here you are. Beautiful view of the mountains. So very true. I can see the passion in the subject. Totally aligning with you on this. Awesome, Elf. I'm so grateful for you to join me in the middle of the night in Perth. I love it, and I always love our alignment. Thank you so much for being here. And Katara, nice to have you. And Leroy, don't waste my time. Be brutally honest. So true. And when you start recognizing that, and you start recognizing how when we just stay trapped in that surface level connection where we're just saying what we think people want to hear, like it's such a waste of time. So I love that you're on that same page, Leroy. Much love to you, Arthur. And Brian, maybe due to personal issues, one hasn't been authentic. What happens if one turns on the authentic switch to those loved ones around them? Is it good to shock them? Yeah, so Brian, I love that, and I always love your questions and you joining me. And what I would say is that when we start going on that growth journey of authenticity in our lives, and particularly in the relationships, in our long-term relationships, be them family, friendships, intimate relationships, business relationships, whatever they are, when they've been there for the long term and those people have been on this journey with us, you know, it is going to take some consistency to break through with those people, particularly if you have been pretty inauthentic, because that's what people buy into with trust. You can't just show up once and shock them with your authenticity. You have to remain consistently authentic, and the only way you do that is to build a solid relationship with yourself where you're doing the work each and every day to build and maintain the courage to break through, be truthful, and be truly authentically you on a consistent basis. And you have to be willing to stay on that journey without the reliance of the validation from those other relationships. And yeah, shock them, but you know, keep shocking them is my message to you if you want to really tap into the truth so they can trust you and you can be that leader and hopefully inspire more authenticness from them as well. So I love that, Brian. Thank you so much for your question. I really hope that resonated with you. If I wasn't quite on the money there, let me know and I'll be happy to have a deeper conversation there. And Salem, hope you're having a fabulous day too. Abina, awesome to have you. Thank you, Jeremy, appreciate you. And Chen from Israel, I love it. And Leroy, why is it I'm honest with people, they get offended? Okay, great question, Leroy. And there's two different ways to look at it. You can look at it from kind of the tendency to disempower ourselves, like, oh, what, I'm being like totally authentically me and they just get offended and that's their problem. And it's kind of a disempowering, fearful state that we can fall into. It's a trap that we can fall into. But questioning yourself, am I falling into that trap, or am I just surrounded by people who I need to just hold space for? You know, they're not quite on this journey. I'm triggering them with my honesty because I'm shining light on the parts of them that they haven't yet owned and they're not doing the work on. And how can I empower myself to continue to be authentically me despite the reactions and responses in the external world? I'm not going to let that stop me. But also, how can I best be a leader for these people in my life? You know, how can I stay consistent and come from more of a place of love? Because I like to believe that we can't control others, but we definitely can inspire them. And what inspires people is love. So we've got to make sure we're checking in with ourselves and we're taking a position of strength, not coming from a place of fear, like we're just telling people, like we're just picking it up and throwing it at them without really emotional intelligence, which is about making a situation better rather than worse based on our input to it. So maybe you just need to empower yourself to take a more loving stance. You know, remember that the only antidote to fear is love. So you need to make sure that you're coming from a loving, centered place, which with best intentions to help support and nurture their growth, as opposed to just telling it like it is for the sake of telling it like it is. But actually it's kind of puts people in a defensive state and you aren't acting emotionally intelligent because you're actually making the situation worse because you're putting them in defense rather than inspiring the best out of them by seeing that potential in them, coming coming from a loving, centered, understanding place of compassion that can hold space for their growth. Hope that was helpful, Leroy. Love having your comments here. And Adrian, awesome to have you. And Arthur, I love that you love listening to these messages. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love that you think this is deep, Leroy. I love it. And Hassani, yeah, gorgeous view. I love it here. And awesome topic. Love this. Inauthenticity keeps us in shallow relationships, while honesty and authenticity takes us to the deep. I love it. So on par there, Hassani. And Adrian, love, trust, truth. Always much love and trust and truth right back at you. And Lisa, sometimes I go deep when my audience can't handle the truth. Sometimes people want to live in a bubble and not face their reality. So true, Lisa. And you know, at the end of the day, it's not your responsibility to bring them out of their own bubbles. You know, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. It's the same sort of story. So keep being you, keep being authentic. Don't filter your truth through what you think people can handle, because that's what keeps us stuck in our inauthenticity. So definitely keep showing up, keep being consistent, keep checking in and making sure that you are coming from a place of centered love, not projection of fears. And yeah, there's a difference between that. And ultimately, how our environment consistently responds to us is an alert to how we're showing up. So definitely, yeah, utilize it for your own growth there. And Paul, nice to have you. And Alf, each person can only meet you at their level of consciousness. So true, Alf. And I love that you get that and you understand that and you live that. And you know, when we notice that people are at a lower level of consciousness, that's just more reason, more leverage for us to continue on our path, stepping up and being the leader, so that we can inspire them up with us rather than come back down and meet them where they're at. Hold space, invite them up. So love that, Elf. Thank you so much. And Leroy, yeah, definitely. And Brian, sounds like you could do another episode going deeper with discussing authenticity versus our fears. I will definitely do that for you, Brian. Thank you so much for the suggestion. I always so welcome you guys letting me know what you're interested in, so I can make sure that I'm delivering a message that is definitely of value to you. So I'll definitely do that. And I'm so passionate about this topic at the moment, so it'd be my absolute pleasure. Thanks, Brian. And yes. Martin, awesome to have you. And Hassani, let me open this message. One other reason why we may not always offer real honesty to others is because we have to have such a connection with ourselves that we feel like we can also take what we're giving out in return, yeah, without taking offense or being defensive. Yeah, and I had this experience this morning actually, where my growth is, you know, building that depth and honesty with the people in my life that I see a long-term future with. So, you know, I challenged myself this morning to call my friend out on a couple of different things, and I had a bit of fear around it. And what I did in return is open the doors up to welcoming them calling me out on some things. And I really believe that when you can have a relationship with anybody in your life where you are able to honestly, truthfully and lovingly call each other's blind spots out, that's the kind of relationship that I aspire to have. I don't want a surface level relationship. I want the kind of relationship where we can both support our best selves, you know, and not be threatened by our greatness, but also coupled with being able to challenge each other. And when we see those blind spots, in the ability from that loving place where we are helping them, giving them the opportunity to reach a higher level within themselves, because we see their potential. And that is the greatest gift that we can give to others. That truly is the art of love, being able to both give and receive that support and that challenge. So thanks so much for sharing your wisdom here, Hassani. I appreciate it. And Akka, nice to have you. And Mary Pat and Arthur, all the way in sunny Florida. Love it. And Leroy, you have a great day too. Going back to paint. I love it. Hope you catch the recording and get some more value from this message. And Arthur, forcefully staying in a relationship because of business, but really not happy with each other. Yeah, and first, you know, I appreciate your honesty there, Arthur, and, you know, your courage to own where you're at rather than avoid it. But that's that first foundational piece, is to have self-awareness for where you currently are, now's the time to do something about it. Get intentional about what you truly want. You know what you don't want, you know where you currently are. Get intentional about where you really want to get to, and then I would suggest that you bring that opportunity to that person you're in business with. Paint the picture for them, set the intention, and get brutally honest with one another so that you can close the gap between where you currently are and where you really want to get to, rather than avoid it or just stay stuck. I hope that was helpful, Arthur. Thanks for sharing your experience here. Colin, love having you here. Sharing some love all the way from the UK. Awesome, awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for being here. Thomas, awesome to have you, and Nikki and Madhu and Adrian. Pull your neck in, love. I'm not sure what you mean, but all right. And Chen, self-love is the basis for everything. Most definitely. If we don't have that foundational piece, relationship with ourselves, doing the work to own all parts of who we are, then we ultimately can't step up with true strength of vulnerability and truth and honesty in our relationships. And Hassani, seeing you in this setting reminds me of the talk we had about dream homes in the mountains. Yeah, now all you need is that lake. I love that you remember that, Hassani. Yeah, that's definitely, I am seriously in my element here. There's so many different places here that are, they're in my visions, you know. I really do. I love the mountains. I love the lakes. And Hassani, yes, we've had this conversation. It's coming sooner rather than later. I'm feeling it. And Nikki, thanks for being here, and Simba, awesome to have you, and Chen, when you really love yourself, you are more authentic, more optimistic, more understanding, more forgiving, less judgmental, etc. So true. So that's all the more reason to make the focus of your personal development, that relationship with self, building that love for yourself by accepting all pieces of who you are. And love that. Thanks for sharing there, Chen. And Frank, awesome to have you. Hope you're having a great day. And Norman, awesome to have you. So guys, that is my message for you all on this beautiful, sunny, beautiful day here in the mountains. I am absolutely loving it here. I really hope that today's message has resonated with you. It's got you thinking about where you're being fake in your life, even on the surface level, even with best intentions. And I challenge you to start stepping into more realness, more authenticity, and recognizing where you have fears, where it's scary for you to do that, and you utilize that. You know, utilize that feeling of fear, that trigger, to shine light on the areas where you just need to own different parts of yourself, step more fully into your truth, your acceptance and love for yourself, so that you can ultimately do what we're all here to do, which is build depth and connection, you know, really go deep in our relationships. And the path to that is always truth, honesty, realness, authenticity. And I've loved having you, all of you guys here, and I am sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, everything amazing coming at you to wherever you are in the world. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. So I'm sending you so much love.